Radio Network. The Good Intentions Show is sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation at unitedintentions.org, a virtual community where you learn to create, track, and manifest your passions one intention at a time. Look for us on Blog Talk, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, and many more. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under United Intentions and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Yes, this is the Good Intentions Show, where you will meet people who live life intentionally and hear about things they're not telling you in the mainstream media. And now, here's the truth seeker, the snake charmer, a legend in his own mind, broadcasting live all over the universe, your host, Mr. Tim Ray.
Here we go.
We're back.
In action. Man, it's been a long day.
I know.
Right? Well, you're not going to want to miss this show. And we'll be broadcasting this also on WDJY 99.1. This is all about medical marijuana. How smoking can make you healthy. Huh, who would have ever thunk that? When I was growing up, this was like, you're not supposed to do it, and everybody wanted to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, little did we know we were actually getting healthy, huh?
Right.
Well, that didn't seem like at the time when, you know, your ambition, you didn't want to do anything, just, you know, I guess there's certain things of the marijuana that you have to kind of keep in account that, you know, certain extracts from it that, yeah, that is healthy. And then, you know, if you're in a daze all day long, I mean, really, how productive can you be, right?
Not me. I can't be.
You know, I always challenge people to, you know, do smoke every day, every morning. And, you know, I'm like, yeah, let me tell you something. Your memory's going to go. You're not going to be productive. You're not going to be able to be focused. You know, yeah, you may be healthy, but, you know, hey, must be a trade-off somewhere. But who knows? But today we'll be talking to Dr. Rachna Patel, and she is all about medical marijuana. She's a physician, and she has so much to share. We're going to get into the basics of it. You're not going to want to miss this show. It's going to be incredible story on medical marijuana. Excuse me, and what we have been able to do over the years and where we are today. I mean, people are Colorado. Hello, enough said there. Just the beginning. Whole revolution of this medical model here. And who wants this to come out and who doesn't want to come out? We could talk about that as well. What's holding us back? So start checking in, start sharing on Facebook. Figure out what you're going to do now for the next hour and listen in, because we're about to get high with information on medical marijuana. All right. So hello, hello, 93.5 WWNN listeners. Welcome, Florida in the house. Floridians know all about CBD oil and marijuana. At least last time I was in Miami, they did. So at least I heard. You know.
All right. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, I heard. So you guys want to call in later on and ask questions about this, call 678-495-4345. And also, if you haven't figured out yet, you want to get your life back, which we do talk about CBD oil in here in our Get Your Life Back Now series with these integrative doctors. 21 hours of integrative information. Talks about taking your life back from chronic illnesses, cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, arthritis, MS, ALS, you name it. You don't have to give your life up when you get a diagnosis of cancer. It's not a death call. It's a wake-up call. That's what it is. It's got to wake up. You got to change your nutrition. You got to change your habits, change your stinking thinking. It all affects it. And it is. And there's certain medicine out there, certain supplements out there, whether it's CBD oil or it's, you name it, we're learning all about from our fruits and vegetables that are healthy for us. And you know, turmeric. I take turmeric every day in my eggs, in my shakes.
Yeah, it's good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I never knew turmeric was just so powerful. I mean, it's just amazing what you could do. And it's a cumulative solutions. So go to getyourlifebacknow.live, getyourlifebacknow.live. Check out these DVDs. Also, you could get your digital version immediately. For the cost of one doctor's visit, you got 25 experts coming into your home and showing you stuff that you can't see on television or on the media or go to your doctors. You just can't. They don't want you to know this information. It is secret sauce that you're not to know. We have a 25-day, right in the middle of our 25-day sign-up where you could send your email in, and you'll get free. They'll give you 5 minutes of speeches of each 25 experts coming in and sharing you. MDs, people with cancer, what they've done to change it, living, going on. It's not a death sentence. You name it, it's there. So just check it out. GetYourLifeBackNow.live. GetYourLifeBackNow.live. What else we got coming up here? Health Matters tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, WDJY 99.1. Check out Dr. Bulmash making headway.
Yeah, he is.
He's bringing it home. He sure is. And also tonight, we have the Intimacy Hour with Alicia and Doug at 6 p.m. tonight, 6 to 7. You're going to want to check that out as well. They are also just hitting it hard. Two married couples. One's a psychologist, and he does exactly what his wife tells him to do.
Yeah, man. He's smart.
He's
really smart.
Yeah, exactly. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
So, check that out as well, the Intimacy Hour, and you'll see at 6 o'clock, go on Facebook, as well as WDJY, too, and Spreaker.com. And we're getting Patreon. People are signing up on our Patreon page. Go check that out, United Intentions at Patreon. Something, but just type that in and you'll figure it out. Right? And it is wonderful because there's information on there. We just had an MK Ultra survivor, Elisa E. share last half hour, I think, of information that's just amazing. Amazing. We talked about the alien agenda behind this. We talked about even cloning, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, we touched on it.
Yeah. This is information that, you just can't hear anyone else. And, Facebook, of course, shuts us down, and YouTube limits us, and, the mainstream media out there doesn't want this information out because they can't control your minds when you hear this. I got to control all the time. I got to lead you guys down the road so I can control you. Come on. Human spirit can never be controlled, maybe a certain period of time, but it can't be suppressed.
But what's so important about this information that they're trying to censor us?
Exactly. Why? I mean, why would they try to censor you if the information was crazy and out of this world? Come on. You're just showing your hands. You know what? I always remember that. A saying said to me a long time ago, when you have to use your power, you'll lose your power.
I like that. That's
yeah. That's why it all needs. That's why they do this mind control, very indirect. But when they sometimes now, they're blowing it. They're using their power, and they got to lose their power. So, it is it's a time game now. Your time's up. Conscious media is on the rise. We're coming at you. So today we're going to be talking about, how much time we have before break? All right. Today we're going to be talking about medical marijuana. We got time. Okay, good. I'll bring her in. Dr. Patel is a leader in the medical marijuana medicine. She says, knowing from firsthand experience. What does that mean? She's a stoner? Is that what that means?
She looks like she might be. She looks like not old enough to be a doctor.
No, that's good.
Very young.
That's good genes. That's good genes. Yeah. And first-hand experience that marijuana works like a charm in resolving insomnia. I'm hearing stories after stories, CBD oils. I'm talking about getting high. I'm talking about CBD oil, the extracts. I'm hearing healing stories over and over again. It is amazing, and I can't wait to get into the story here. She's read every bit of research in peer-reviewed journals that she could get her hands on, and through her research, although this research is limited, she certainly showed promise, and especially for conditions such as chronic pain, which is all we talk about with Get Your Life Back Now, right? Nausea and vomiting and poor appetite. Well, I'll tell you what. Welcome, Dr. Patel. How are you? Oh, wonderful. I've been waiting to do a show on this for a while, and I think we're doing a couple more with Warren Hanchey and his son, who has acres and acres and acres of land that they're growing marijuana on for the CBD oil extract. But wow, I mean, where do you even start on this type of topic? Because everybody's just curious about it, and yet there's a psychological fear of doing it because some areas it's legal, some areas it's illegal. We'll get into that too, but let me just first ask you the question. When did you discover marijuana can heal?
From using it myself.
Okay.
Right? So probably like a lot of college students out there, I experimented with it back in college. And being a type A personality, I tend to struggle with anxiety. I also tend to struggle with insomnia. And so that's what it helped me with. And those are most of the patients that I treat are people with anxiety, people with insomnia, and then also people with chronic pain.
Right. Well, like, what are some of the common chronic pains for you that you experience, if you want to share, or people that come to you, either way?
Yeah, so I don't experience much pain, but for those that come to me, we're talking about conditions like migraines, arthritis, back pains, especially sciatica. We're talking about conditions such as fibromyalgia. So a whole slew of conditions. And what's interesting is that these are conditions where conventional treatment doesn't cut it for these people, right? And so what happens is that as a last resort, they've explored other treatments. They're sort of short of getting surgery, for instance, for like back pain. And so as a last resort, they'll come to me and say, hey, look, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'd like to give medical marijuana a try because nothing else is helping me.
Well, and it's a shame because if they were like, same thing with all these chronic illnesses, you need chronic solutions. It's accumulative, all the pain years after decades of not taking care of your body or eating the GMO food or sucking down the fluoride water or whatever the case may be. It's a buildup over a period of time. And so the solutions, honestly, is a preventative solution. You got to cumulatively have solutions in place, whether it's taking your CBD oil every day or your supplement or your turmeric or whatever it may be. But most of us don't. Most of us, because we don't have a medical model that feeds into that. We have a medical model that's a triage. It's after the illness has appeared and now you got to deal with the mess. And that's probably what you see more often and treat, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a cumulative, over time effect. These are people that have been dealing with chronic pain, anxiety, insomnia for years and years. We're talking about, oftentimes it can go back to, with pain, it can go back to an injury that they may have had when they were younger in college or in their 30s. If we're talking about anxiety, a lot of times that happens, occurs back in childhood. Same with insomnia. A lot of people start to deal with insomnia once they become an adult, and the pressures of being an adult come into play at that point in their lives.
Right.
So it's years and years that they're dealing with this.
Yeah, and it wears and tears on every part of your body to that degree, and I think that's something that, if this could help, and we'll get it when we get back from break, we'll get into the specifics of how it can help, but I think specifically with how we actually heal ourselves, because we do heal ourselves. The marijuana actually, I don't think heals ourselves, but allows us to heal ourselves, right?
And I can go into what exactly it does, right?
Okay.
So when it comes, let's talk about.
Well, before you do, let's take a break first, and then when we get back, let's not only talk about how it specifically heals or allows us to heal ourselves, but let's talk about the actual compounds. What are we dealing with? THC. What are we dealing with here?
Sure.
What's CBD oil, and let's get the terminology down and the specifics. Let's get chemical. Let's get chemical when she gets back. All right.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Let's pull out that periodic table. Let's find out what's going on here. We're talking to Dr. Patel, and she is a medical marijuana physician out in Jersey in the house. She's via California and back to Jersey, so she's doing East and West Coast training on here. You can catch her at Dr. Rachna Patel, Patel. It's RACHNAPATEL.com. All right, we'll be right back.
Are you ready to be the hero of your own story? It's time to put the power of your health back into your hands. Join us for our free 25-day journey to get your life back now from chronic illness. Our doctors and experts will guide you back to optimal health.
Okay, the standard of care. 3 Australian oncologists did a meta-analysis. That's the cream de cream of research in 2004. And they found that when they analyzed all the research studies published in the English language in Australia and in the United States, that when you take stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 cancer, combine them, that the average survival for 5 years is 60%. And when you add chemotherapy to that, you improve it to 62%. Okay? So a 2% increase in survival rate over 5 years for $300,000 of expense all the pain and anguish and suffering that you go through with chemotherapy. Great return on investment, don't you think?
Go to www.getyourlifebacknow.live and begin your journey today.
All right. We are back with Dr. Rachna Patel. We are talking about getting high. No, we're not. What are we talking about? We're talking about medical marijuana. I just like saying that. Hi. All right, we can have some fun with this, though, right? Did I have a little CBD oil before I came in here? What happened to me? I don't know.
Sounds like it. No, you're just high off of life.
Yeah, high off of life, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And I do want to get into. We'll talk about the medical marijuana, and we also talk about the repercussions of marijuana as well, because everything out there in excessive is not healthy for you in any way. So, but let's break down marijuana specifically, and what are the actual elements that are actually helping people cure themselves?
Okay, sure. So marijuana makes chemicals, right? And there's two chemicals that it makes in really high concentrations. Those are THC, which a lot of people have heard of. That is the psychoactive compound in marijuana, right? So what does psychoactive mean? It gets you high. And then you have CBD, cannabidiol, and that's the other chemical that's made in high concentrations by marijuana. Now, the important thing to know here is that let's also touch on hemp, because hemp is a sibling of marijuana. You can consider it the non-psychoactive sibling of marijuana, because it also makes THC and CBD, but it makes large amounts of CBD compared to THC. And legally, hemp is defined as having less than 0.3% THC.
So THC, real quick, is what makes you high.
Yep, exactly. And here, I want to clarify there that you have to be consuming it in excess amounts to get high off of it, right? And that's what people typically do in college and in high school. When people smoke a joint, they overdo it. And so what you're experiencing there, the high, is from consuming excess amounts of THC.
Okay, so the THC so you're saying hemp and marijuana, and there's a difference between hemp and marijuana. Hemp has more CBD oil, and marijuana has more THC.
Yeah,
that's the main difference. But do the plants look the same, or are they different types of plants? Which is the big buds? That's what I was always impressed with. Which one has the big buds?
I know, me too.
I'm kidding. Go ahead. What are you going to say, Doc?
I was going to say that they look similar. They come from the same family. It's the same genus, the same species, but the only distinguishing factor that we're using is this 0.3% THC.
Okay, gotcha.
All right.
Okay, so continue on with the what's actually helping the body heal itself.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways that marijuana helps, these chemicals, this THC and the CBD. Number one is that it reduces inflammation, okay? And it reduces inflammation by acting at the cellular level, at the level of this cell in your body, okay? Number two is that you have receptors all over your body that send signals to your brain. And basically, if you're experiencing any sort of pain, for instance, like say you put your hand on a hot plate, these receptors will send a signal to your brain saying that, hey, this hand is near something hot. And then the brain, which is the command center, will be like, okay, we need to move that hand away from the hot plate, right? So we need to do some damage control here. And then so the brain sends out more signals to other parts of the body saying, okay, move this hand away from that hot plate. So what marijuana does is that it dampens those signals, where the signals are going to the brain that, hey, I'm experiencing pain. Marijuana dampens those signals going to the brain. So you're basically, it's like...
Not the THC, you're saying the CBD oil.
Both, because they both have these properties, okay, both THC and CBD. And we'll talk about how CBD is medically beneficial and how THC is medically beneficial, but they do overall both have medical benefits. Now, the other thing that's going on is that in your brain, the other thing that happens when it comes to pain is that there's a sort of a physical component of processing the pain. In other words, that's when your brain is getting information like, okay, this hurts, this is how much it hurts. And then there's the emotional processing of pain. That's when your brain's like, okay, this doesn't feel good, right? And so the other thing that marijuana does is that it creates sort of a disconnect between the two, right? And so this is why I have patients telling me, hey, when I use marijuana, the pain doesn't bother me as much, or it helps me to get my mind off of the pain. And that's the reason why, because there's that disconnect between the physical component and the emotional component of pain. So those are some of the ways that marijuana can help.
Okay,
yeah.
So what you're saying is that when you create an altered state of mindset through the THC to the marijuana, that it's taking the anxiety away from focusing. When you have pain, you get anxious, unless you're one of those gurus out there can learn to embrace the pain and go through it. But most of us can't, But so it takes the anxiety away. So now you're in an altered state, thinking about something totally different. And that takes away from the, the manifestation of that ailment.
Yeah, and then the other important thing to know is that you're not in an altered state. If you take marijuana,
I swear to God, I think I might have some altered states. Allegedly. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the important thing. Okay, so you want to be, so if you use this appropriately, you're going to be able to function normally, right? And in order to use it appropriately, there's a couple components that sort of play a role. So the first is the combination of THC and CBD that you're using, all right?
Okay.
Second is how much you're using. Third is how often and how much you're using, right? So the key is that you want to use the right combination of chemicals, you want to take it in the right dose, and then lastly, you don't want to overdo it. And that's how you can use it so that it doesn't impact your ability to function.
So growing up, most of us growing up who we didn't have this type of regulation or these three pillars, like you said, we always overdid it. So we never really understood or really probably got the full understanding of the sanity of the benefit of the marijuana.
Sure. And then the important thing to know is that most of what you find on the streets, that comes from plants that have been bred to produce higher amounts of THC. So, and the amount of THC, there's been research to show that that marijuana is getting stronger and stronger when it comes to the amount of THC.
Yeah, been in Colorado lately? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're talking about, in terms of percentages, this isn't representative of what's at dispensaries, right? But this is representative of what's on the streets. We're talking about back in 1995, 4% potency of THC, and out in, it was 2015, it went up to 12% THC. Right? So threefold increase. And if you go to dispensaries, it's not a surprise to find plants, bud, that's 20%, 30% THC. So it's highly potent. And does everybody need something that potent? No. Nor is it necessarily better in this case.
Is there a certain, just since you brought it up, is there a certain percentage that you start losing your mind? Do you start getting on the borderline of morphine when 30%, 40%? When's too much of a hallucinogenic here?
So it's going to vary from person to person, right? So I've had people who've used as little as 2.5 milligrams of THC in an edible, and that puts them over the edge in terms of, they start to feel anxious, they start to feel paranoid, which is a part of that high. Yeah. But then I've had other patients that have used, as much as, gosh, this is a lot, okay? We're talking like 50 milligrams, and they don't get any sort of psychoactive effect from it, which is why dosing is very individual from person to person. So not only is that the case with with THC, but it's also the case with CBD as well.
Well, what's the variables for such a distinction between, the percentage of, 2% versus 20%? What's the distinction variable in the different human being that would allow them to have a higher tolerance or a lower tolerance for it?
Sure. So machinery in your liver to break down these chemicals, right? So some people have the right machinery in place. It works really quickly. Some people don't necessarily have all the parts to the machinery, so it's it takes a little bit longer for it to take effect. The other thing is that a lot of it is also dependent. So THC and CBD are fat soluble, right? So it gets stored in the fat cells in your body. Now, as you know, some people hold on to fat better than others, and other people are better at losing fat than others, right? So that's another component. That's more of a long-term component of it. So there's various different factors that come into play.
Wow, fascinating. It really is, and especially they're getting it down to a science now. So is there a typical formula of balance between THC, if that's even included in it? I assume it's not in CBD oil, or is it?
Okay, so let's talk about CBD oil. CBD oil can come from two places. It can come from marijuana. It can come from hemp. If it comes from hemp, by default, it has less than 0.3% THC. Most of the effect that you're going to feel is going to be from the CBD. If it comes from marijuana, it's going to have more than 0.3% THC, right? Sometimes it can have a lot of THC. It can be even more than the amount of CBD. Sometimes it's in equal amounts, right? So you have just as much THC in the oil as you have CBD. So CBD oil is sort of a vague term, right? So you want to know where it's coming from. Is it coming from marijuana? Is it coming from hemp? And that'll sort of help you to determine, generally what's the amount of THC that's in there. And obviously, like I said, from hemp, you're going to mainly get the effect from the CBD. And then from marijuana, depending on how much THC is in there, you could potentially get an effect from THC as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. And I think it's so interesting. So within the CBD oil, let's just focus on that first, because that seems to be the biggest healing aspect to, and of course, as you alluded to earlier, the THC can pull you away from being anxious on the focus of the pain and put you in another state of whatever you want to call a state of mind or a different focus, let's say. But the hemp oil, how does that biochemically affect, like, say you have cancer? How does it biochemically interact with the cancer cells, if you know? I mean, that's probably maybe a very challenging question.
So actually there's research on this, and it's research-based, and importantly, this is important, it's research-based in animal models and in test tubes and petri dishes, right? So it works in a couple ways on cancer. Number one, what they've seen is that it basically, specifically, the marijuana targets cancer cells, and it kills those cancer cells, right? The other thing that it does is that it prevents those cancer cells from traveling to other parts of the body, right? And it prevents what's called metastasis. Metastasis is when a cancer spreads to other organs.
Right.
And then the other thing that it does is that, there's a couple different things. Those are the two main things that it does. And there's a whole slew of other things as well.
Okay,
go ahead. Just one more thing. I do want to emphasize that this is in animal models. So we're talking about mice, rats, and petri dishes and in test tubes. In humans, we don't have a lot of research.
Really? Because I know a lot of people have been smoking for decades. So why don't we have more research? I'm not gonna say why. I'm not gonna say any names here, but why? I'm just kidding. I was kidding. But why, Jesse? Why is it that we don't have more experiments with humans with marijuana, medical marijuana?
It's because marijuana has been classified as a Class 1 substance.
Yeah, back in the 1930s when Rockefeller took over the medical model to make everything allopathic and the pharmaceutical industry started rising. Did that just come out of my mouth like that? What happened? I mean, when did this happen? When did marijuana was become considered a drug?
Yeah, so historically, you alluded to the 1930s.
Yeah.
That's when they implemented a tax, an exorbitant tax that pretty much nobody could afford at the time on marijuana. Whether you wanted to prescribe it, to sell it, to use it, to grow it, you had to pay this tax, but nobody could really afford it. And then you fast forward to the Nixon era, right? And that's when they instituted the Controlled Substances Act. That's when it was classified as a Class 1 substance, and it hasn't changed since then. And then you fast forward to the Reagan era when they had the whole DARE. Do you remember DARE?
Yeah, DARE, yes.
I went through it in the 80s, right? So it was a say no to drugs movement. And they had these ads on TV. I don't know if you'll remember. Where they
like eggs cooking on there.
I remember those.
Yeah. And here we are today. Right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how it plays out historically in the United States.
Well, I don't know who president was back in the 1930s, but I think he should be slapped. But outside of that, I think we're gonna take another break here in a second. Let's get into specifically when we get back from break, Doc. Let's talk about what we can do when what are some of the chronic illnesses that we have seen cures or reversals of chronic illnesses such as cancer, even Alzheimer's, if that's even on the plate there. But I think there's so much more that we're discovering. And I know you don't have a lot of scientific fact because we're not allowed to test humans because it's considered a legal drug, right? But I'm sure there is a lot going on behind the scenes. Maybe we could extrapolate and even have some circumstantial evidence. I'm fine with that. I don't have to see something, have to know it's true. Okay, I'm circumstantial. We put people in jail for circumstantial evidence, so we sure could elaborate a little bit on what medical marijuana is doing for people, especially testimonies. We'll be right back. We're talking to Dr. Patel. She is an incredible woman out there in Jersey, making a big difference in California and showing people how beneficial medical marijuana really is. And she's a physician practicing it every day. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Tim Ray, founder of the United Intentions Foundation. And today I'll be showing you how to create a quick intention on the United Intentions website. So what's a quick intention? It's a focused desire that you'd like to manifest in your life. Okay, let's get started creating a quick intention. Simply click on the quick intention tab, or on the left side of your screen in green, click on the create the new intention tab. Okay, first let's create a title for your intention, and then in a complete present tense sentence, write what your intention is. So for example, every day I accomplish more. This is important because your subconscious only understands the present tense as if it's already happening. After you're done, select a category such as career and set your privacy. But don't stop there. You'll notice that your intention is now red. Great start. Now, let's go to the next step and create an advanced intention so we can move the intention process from yellow all the way to green to get ready to manifest. Remember, others can interact, like, and comment on your intention to give you support and build a community. See you on the site.
All right, we are back with Dr. Rachna Patel. Reach her at drrachnapatel.com. Do you have a book out? Are you working on a book or anything? Because it sounds like you need to be doing something heavy on that.
I have a YouTube channel where I put out information about once a week. It's just tidbits of information so that it doesn't overwhelm people.
What's your channel?
YouTube channel, if you just do a Google search for the medical marijuana expert, it'll show up on the first page of Google.
All right. And what kind of physician are you? What did you get your degree in?
Yeah, sure. So my background's in emergency medicine, but I started practicing in the area of medical marijuana since back in 2012.
Oh, 2012. Wonderful. So we're talking about the cures for chronic illnesses. I don't say cures because honestly, I've learned, and not too long ago, it took me about 3 years, but I learned that chronic illnesses, or healing, is really through the body. These drugs that we take through big pharma or whatever, the legal drugs, whatever we're doing, deals with symptoms, so our body then can heal itself through the red, white blood cells, whatever it may be. So when somebody says take a pill and it'll solve your problems, it's not. It's just minimizing certain symptoms so your body can heal itself. And I think that's a very important aspect to say. But is there any interaction difference with marijuana or CBD oil in that process, or is the body still healing itself? Just allowing it to heal itself?
Okay, so let me give you an example, for instance. Like the patients that have come to me for back pain, right? It really gets in the way of their everyday life, this back pain. These are people who were formerly very active. They would be playing sports like tennis or they'd go golfing, but now they can't because the back pain has gotten in their way, right? But once they get on the medical marijuana, it's now reduced their pain or even eliminated it. So now they can go back to, they're engaging in physical activity, and that then helps them, right? In terms of long term, it helps their mood, it helps their back pain. But the other thing is that it helps them even on an emotional level, right? So just as an example, I've had patients with arthritis, for instance, complain to me that, hey, I can't even pick up my grandkid because I'm in so much pain. But once that pain is better managed, they're now able to interact with their grandchild in a way that they weren't able to before, And then that helps too, right? Because that helps you emotionally, even at a biochemical level. So that's how it's helping.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense, and I think that's something that people could actually, not only experience, but you can see the immediate effects. And it is pretty quick, isn't it? I mean, how soon usually you start seeing? I mean, you get immediate symptom relief, but how soon do you start seeing the body actually repairing itself, whether it's cancer or it's chronic, other types of chronic illnesses, whatever it may be, emotionally or physically?
Okay, so if we're talking about anxiety, insomnia, or chronic pain, then, and if you're taking the right dose, then within the first day, you should notice a difference.
Right. Well, that's good. That's really good. Now, so I'm sure you've seen tests or people come back with testimonies where they had cancer and then they don't have it anymore.
I haven't.
Okay.
So I don't make the claim that marijuana or even hemp-based products actually cure cancer. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's my take on it. Yes, there's a lot of stories online that you've heard from people, but my question is, how many people have not lived to tell that story, right? And then the other thing is that a lot. I've had people come to me saying that I am dead set on using the marijuana or the hemp-based product to cure my cancer. And they're sort of putting the blinders on to everything else that there's an option.
Gotcha.
And I think that's dangerous, right? When it comes to if you're betting on something, you don't even know the odds.
Right.
In this case, and so and there have been patients with cancer that that I've treated, not for the purpose of treating the cancer itself, but whether they're suffering from lack of appetite, nausea, vomiting, and no one's really come back to me, with reports saying that, hey, this cured my cancer.
Right.
So I don't make that claim. Now, it's definitely great for things like nausea, vomiting, lack of appetite, even pain that a lot of cancer patients experience. But when it comes to using it for the cancer itself, like I mentioned, there's research in mice, rats, test tubes, petri dishes, but not in humans. And even just clinically speaking, I haven't seen enough evidence clinically.
Well, are you getting testimonies? Are you hearing people that you know? Are you getting
patients?
Yes.
No, that's the thing. I haven't. Not when it comes to cancer. When it comes to pain, yeah. Right. When it comes to anxiety, definitely.
Well,
insomnia, yes.
Do you see it being a possibility?
It's certainly a possibility, but we have to look into it, right? The important thing to know here is that cancer is not this very simplistic thing. Cancer is highly varied. There's so many different types of cancer. So the idea of one thing treating or curing it from a scientific standpoint just doesn't make sense.
Right. Well,
right?
Listen, I hear you, and I think you're bringing up some good, valid objections and points here. In addition to, because a lot of people, like you said, they will get this blinders on, or they will feel like I'm only going to focus on marijuana because that seems to be the easiest thing to do, and I don't have to, you have to get chopped up or take chemotherapy or whatever it may be, and it may be limiting their options, and especially if there's not definite clinical studies.
And I know that there's certainly a fear out there of chemotherapy, right? But we've advanced enough where there are certain types of chemotherapies that are very effective for certain types of cancers.
Like which ones? Because overall,
like for instance,
chemotherapy
breast
is
cancer.
Okay.
Right? Let's talk about breast cancer.
Right.
We have treatments advanced enough where we've seen in terms of data good results in terms of remission. That's the other thing that's important. That word remission. You'll never notice a cancer doctor, or any doctor in general, say that a cancer has been treated or cured with chemotherapy. They always say in remission.
Yeah.
And why do they say that? Because there's always the possibility that the cancer can reoccur, right? So even as a physician who's treated a patient with chemo, they'll never say it's been treated or cured. They'll say, for the time being, yes, I'll say that it's in remission. And typically they say that it's in remission only after a period of 5 years of during which there's been no reoccurrence, right? So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's smart, though, don't you? That, because for example, I think I don't know where you stand on it, but I think all physical ailments are derived from our emotional thought process of suppression, repression that eventually gets into our tissues, eventually manifests into physical ailments. Now, there's new science coming out on that every day now. It's probably less science even on the medical marijuana for humans. But if what I'm saying is true, then you can't get in somebody's mind whether they're going to manifest cancer again, or even the toxins outside of herself, or how they're eating, whatever it may be, a combination of the stinking thinking. So yeah, there's too many variables to be able to take into account of why somebody gets cancer and somebody doesn't, or why one's in remission, one's not, because you really can't measure, at least not yet, our thoughts and feelings, to an effective degree.
Well, you can actually, if you look at hormone levels, right? So, for instance, cortisol levels. That is a measure of how stressed a person is, and now we know that then has impacts on things like obesity, where we gain that fat, impact on insulin. Then, so it can be measured to a certain extent.
Yeah, but if someone, though, like you say, Doc, if somebody has the same cancer, the same issue, the same weight issue, what the only variable could be different is how they perceive it, how they think about it, how they have anxiety towards it. That may be more challenge. You can maybe physiologically measure that, but whether somebody comes in remission or not versus the other person could be just based on their thoughts. I mean, look at the placebo effect and the nocebo effect. Why do they test every FDA-approved drug to a belief system that whether you believe you're going to cure yourself or not? I mean, why would that be an indicator? Why is that even a criteria if the placebo effect, which is your perception of your thoughts, are so important?
Right.
Why is that not talked about more?
Yeah, and actually that's interesting, because they've even done studies where people have undergone yoga, or they do the rosary in a church, and that in and of itself has shown to reduce things like blood pressure, for instance, right? Yeah. So that state of mind is affecting something that's going on in your body. So I don't disagree with you. I just don't have a yes or no answer for you.
I want a yes. Yes, is that a yes or no? Where were you? No, listen, I get it, Doc, and there's no way we're going to know, but it's nice and it's exciting to even talk about the possibilities of not only the power of intention, which we talk about every day, which is your thoughts and feelings, but also this new CBD oil of medical marijuana that has such a negative connotation over the decades, mainly because of people in charge didn't want it to compete with the big pharma medicine, basically, is my conclusion. And I know it sounds conspiratory, but you know what? That's just the life we live in. And once you start getting down, start peeling the onions back, you're going to find out there's a lot of people out there in power structures, power roles, who really are not concerned about our health, but more so concerned about making money over people being sick. And you know what? You don't want to say that on air, but we can, because this is our network. We can say that. And I'll tell you what, people should challenge themselves and vet why you just because the TV says to take this drug and you'll feel better, doesn't mean that it's the best drug for you. And you got to take into account people's motivations, their companies. These are strangers. You've never seen these people before on television before. It's like a mother or father giving you chicken soup to do. You don't know these people. I don't know you. I don't know you. I mean, why am I going to take what you say to be true? Right, yeah. Just because you have a television station or a radio station, whatever it may be, you need to vet it out and listen to people like you, Doc, who has seen it and are using it, where most people right now in the medical model would disagree with you. They would say, you know what, you're just pushing drugs, or whatever they try to paint it as, right?
Yeah, and so here's something interesting. You're talking about Big Pharma. Big Pharma is getting its hands into medical marijuana. There's a company called GW Pharma. There goes any
decency we had. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Just kidding. Don't trust medical marijuana now, because it's not going to be when they're done with it. That's my 2 cents. Go ahead.
So GW Pharma, it's a pharmaceutical company based in England that obtained special permission to grow marijuana in England so that they can do research and development on it, right? And they created a medication called Sativex, which is basically an extract of equal amounts of CBD and THC, and then they put it in a spray form. It's exorbitantly expensive, and it has been legalized for medical use in in certain countries in Europe. We're talking about, and also Israel, Canada. And then they've created another medication called Epiodolex. Okay, this is an extract where it's mainly CBD. And it's going through clinical trials in the United States. And they're currently in advanced phase 3 trials for that. Okay. Right. So here's the thing. This medication is pretty much similar to what you can find at dispensaries, because essentially it's an extract with a very specific amount of CBD and THC. And the only difference is that it's created under standardized conditions, whereas at a dispensary, not so much due to regulation. So they have gotten their hands into it. I don't know how it's going to impact things in the future.
Right. Well, listen, if history is the best indicator of your future performance, it probably won't be good. I mean, we screwed up an apple. Now they're genetically modifying apples. Oh, yeah? Come on, why would you mess with nature like that? Apple a day keeps the doctor away. I mean, right. It's just too much, and transparency is what's needed more so than ever before. And I hate that. I'm so glad, I should say, on a positive note, I'm glad that CBD oil, hemp, marijuana is getting a grassroots movement, and has been for decades now, but more so now today than ever before, to actually show people how this can not only handle, like you say, chronic illnesses and pain, sure, but I think it's on the verge of going much further in our health issue. And I think time will tell when more private companies or private industries or private doctors who are not under the thumb of the board or big pharma, and they're able to go off and do their own experimentations, we'll bring more data back in to show that, wow, this is much more potent and powerful than we ever thought. And I'm glad people like you are out there doing that. So we're going to take one more break here, Doc. When we get back, let's talk about the future. What does the future look like? All right, not only your bright future, but what does the future look like for medical marijuana, hemp, CBD oil, THC, getting high to get healthy, right?
I was waiting for that.
All right. We're talking to Dr. Rachna Patel, and we are talking about medical marijuana. You can reach her at drrachnapatel.com. Check her out. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to be the hero of your own story? It's time to put the power of your health back into your hands. Join us for our free 25-day journey to get your life back now from chronic illness. Our doctors and experts will guide you back to optimal health.
In my opinion, there is not a drug in the world for a chronic disease that I would consider. Not one. Acute, yes. You got appendicitis, of course, I prefer to take it out. They're now treating appendicitis with 3 weeks of bed rest and antibiotics. I'd rather have it taken out. I think it's safer than taking antibiotics for 3 weeks. And surgery, fine, wonderful, go with it. But the incidence of suicide, once they put you on antidepressants, which do not work, there are 4 major articles saying if all the negative studies had been allowed by the pharmacomafia to be published, the net results would be 0.
Go to www.getyourlifebacknow.live and begin your journey today.
Yeah, that's Dr. Norm Shealy. Love him. Sergey Surin also works with him. Love him.
Oh, yeah.
I love all these docs. I really had a great experience out there. Looking forward to more time. Integrative medicine is our future. It's the body, mind, and soul. It's a holistic approach to the human being and healing themselves. And really, it's about taking our power back, our power of our intentions. To be able to come back and say, you know what? I create my reality. I co-create with God. God is all there is, whatever you want to define it as. And to me, that's where you get to health. That's where you're able to, you can handle these chronic illnesses that we're just feel like we're outside of an alien coming in and giving us cancer or something. We create it. We create everything ourselves, in my opinion. And and so when somebody has cancer, I don't say, it's a death sentence. I say, own it. You created it. It's part of your body. It's part of you, who you are. It's there for a wake-up call. And are you going to wake up to it? Are you going to change your thoughts? Are you going to change your behaviors? Are you going to look into why you could have manifested this? Are you going to give that sense of a possibility of a thought? Or are you going to just say, hey, I can't do anything about it. I'm a victim. I don't know.
Ma, are you listening?
Yeah.
Ma?
Yeah, Ma, am I listening?
I have to buy her one. I'm going to get it.
Yeah, you can get one of those things.
I know she's not listening, but I'm going to get her one of those DVDs, man. I'm going to buy that and send it to her.
You need to. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. We're here back talking to Dr. Patel, leader in medical marijuana medicine. So first of all, why do you consider yourself, or other people, not just you, a leader? Like you're going in areas where most people don't? I mean, what makes you stand out?
What makes me stand out in the area of medical marijuana? Most of what I say is based on research, right? I'm not just kind of pulling things out of my behind.
Yes.
And so
Yeah, but I'm not a doctor, though. I can pull it out of my behind.
In as much as possible, I try to base things off of research and also based on my clinical experience. So that's important. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know of very many doctors in the field, and I'm really...
They're scared too. They're scared. Why are they scared? Why are they scared, in your opinion?
Well, one is that they may be working for a system that doesn't allow them to discuss medical marijuana with their patients. Two is that they're, at the federal level, even though physicians are protected through a court case that happened in 2004, technically, what doctors like myself are doing is still technically considered illegal.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, that's the other fear that goes into it as well.
That is so wrong on so many levels, because these fat cats up there, international bankers, they get away with everything. I mean, the worst possible things you could do in humanity, and they control this. It just seems so. Where's the justice? People were about little justice. Where's the big justice here? Because we know that this, and thank God for docs like you who are risking. And because we just did a whole thing at this, I don't know if you knew, that Get Your Life Back Now. I'll have to send you something on that. But we had the vaccine team there, Dr. Andy Wakefield. We had, all these docs on there, and we had a whole list of 80 to 100 docs who are not here anymore because they were challenging the system. And a lot of these doctors, like Wakefield and a whole bunch of them, lost their licenses trying to do the right thing. Because these government agencies don't want the truth to come out, is the bottom line. Because they're either more hungry or they have some other agenda that we don't know about, 21. But all these different things are happening because they do not want the truth. And I'll tell you what. What are we going to do? If there's not docs out there like you who are risking it and rolling the dice on that, then who will? And so my hat's off to you, Doc, for doing that. So what's the future? What's the future for medical marijuana at this point? I mean, are they coming down hard on it? Are they loosening up? I guess they're trying to. They can't stop it, so they're getting into the game now.
Well, I mean, over half the states have legalized for medical use. Well over half the states have legalized for medical use. Right?
Has Georgia legalized yet?
No.
Man, what are we waiting for?
Bible Belt.
I think in Georgia, they've legalized the medical use of CBD, but they don't make it available, but it's okay to have possession of it, I believe.
So let me ask you a question. That's interesting. So it has to be prescribed by a doc, or can you have a whole bag of hemp? Hey, this is majority of it's, CBD oil. Don't worry about the THC part that's in it. It's very small minutes. I mean, you have to be prescribed, or you could just have it. I don't know. I'm just curious.
So it's weird because it's on the books, but practically it hasn't been implemented. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So essentially, it's CBD is okay. I don't know. The legality of it is kind of a gray area.
Sure.
Essentially.
Sure. No. So what do you see? What do you see happening? You see the rest of the states coming on board, and what about on the federal level?
I do. So here's what I predict will happen. I told you about these pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
Most likely what I see happening is that they will have the government reschedule marijuana to Class 2 substance, and then it'll only be available by prescription.
Yeah.
So that's what I predict.
Collect all those tax dollars at that point, So and then, but the problem is then once you get this type of that level of it, and you don't have your own individual right to determine what you want, right? Then now they could play with the percentages. They could lower it, just like they're doing with these vitamins. Like vitamin E can't tell you all the benefits for vitamin E on the bottle because it's illegal to tell you about these, but the benefits of this for freaking vitamins or supplements. because that they don't want you to know this. And this is the scam played. So when I can't tell you unless we have a change in a spiritual awakening in our government, which I'm shooting for, I can't see this being a good thing. Them getting involved in medical marijuana. My opinion.
Yeah. Here's the important thing. A certain degree of regulation is important. Like, for instance, in Colorado, in California, once it got legalized for recreational use, what started to be mandated was laboratory testing. Okay, and this is important for the consumer because now you can get a report that shows you what the quality of the product is like. Now, specifically, we're talking about things like, what are the exact amounts of the CBD and the THC? This also is relevant to CBD oil. They'll go into things like levels of pesticides and fungicides. They'll look at heavy metals as well. They're going to look at things like fungus and bacteria. And fungus and bacteria are important because if there's a cancer patient taking this and they're undergoing chemo, their immune system is suppressed to start with, right? So you want to make sure that whatever you're taking is free of fungus, free of bacteria as well.
Right.
So things like that. So to a certain degree, it has been a good thing for the consumer. Otherwise, it's been the wild, wild west, and you don't really know what you're putting in your body, right? Someone will tell you, oh, yeah, you got to try the sour diesel. It's great. What the heck is sour diesel, right? Like, is that even, objectively named, or Girl Scout cookie, or whatever other names they have?
Right.
So this is an objective way of knowing, okay, this is what I'm putting in my body. And you always want to know what exactly it is, regardless of what it is. Food, medications, supplements. You want to know exactly what's going into your body.
Well, point noted and point taken, and well done. And I will say, to add on what you're saying, I think with this movement towards scientifically understanding it better and then packaging it correctly, and then being able to experiment and get tests done and see the actual, I think that is probably the best direction for our medical model going towards. I just hope that long as we could have people like you out there leading the way and not getting compromised by big pharma and the agenda they do every day, and which is and it's not the people in it, it's probably the top people on it, but like this Bayer just bought out Monsanto. Now you can't say the word Monsanto anymore. You have to only say Bayer company. That's all going around right now because Monsanto has such a negative connotation associated because all the damage they've been doing, and so it's just a matter of hiding and the shell game here. So hopefully not. So anything else you see? So you see a positive future for medical marijuana?
Under the state regulations, yeah, it's been great because I know in California they just rolled out their new regulations in 2018, and they've been having meetings and engaging with the community to get their feedback, and that's great, right? What's going to happen at the federal level, I don't know, but under the state level, it's been a good thing from what I know, especially in California.
Right. Well, wonderful. I love that. And I think, and what's next for you? Tell us about, people want to reach you and they want to learn more about what's going on. What's next for you?
Sure. So like I said, I have my YouTube channel, and I'm always posting answers to commonly asked questions there. So if any of your audience members have questions, they can post them in the comment section there. That's mainly what I'm doing. In terms of working with people, I'm doing consults now, except not in a brick and mortar, but online. And this way I can reach more people. In fact, I've been reaching people all over the world, which has been great.
No, that's wonderful. And best way to reach you is what?
Through my website, www.drdrrachna, RACHNA, Patel, PATEL.com.
Wonderful. Well, Doc, listen, you got a 100% support from the Foundation, United Intentions Foundation here. We love your work, and we hope to have you back on. In fact, I'm having some more folks who do grow hemp and CBD oil as well coming on. And I'd love to maybe get a third person calling in if you could. And I don't know when that is. Probably won't be for another 30 days out. But if you're willing, I'd love to have you back on and have just a real general session about that. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. That sounds great.
All right, wonderful. And hang on one second before we hang up. I just want to say goodbye to you. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I loved it. WDJY listeners, wonderful, huh? I know you're enjoying that. So now we all know the difference between hemp and marijuana. Wow. Tell you what, THC and CBD.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, did we even talk about sativa?
Sativa, yeah,
sativa.
Sativa. I think she mentioned a little bit about that,
okay.
But we'll catch it. We'll get into that next time too, more little depth. Again, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you here shortly. Have a good day. I think we have another show coming up before half-hour show with Christina Lynn. We'll see you then.
You have been listening to The Good Intentions Show on the UI Radio Network. The Good Intentions Show is sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation.